Welcome to episode 9 of Views from a Business Leader. In this episode, we talk to Ross McKinnon from the Berkshire Council. Thank you very much for agreeing to talk to us today. The sun is out. It's Friday, obviously before the weekend, so I guess people will be getting their barbecues ready and
I'm tempted. It's glorious out there.
All of that good stuff. Ross, would you mind just for the viewers just telling us who you are, what you do within the council, and that would be a great place to start.
All right, no worries. Yeah, I'm Ross McKinnon. I'm the executive member for Finance, Property and Commissioning at West Berkshire Council. So I look after those areas at WBC. In addition to that, I'm also an elected member for my local area for Bradfield, which covers quite a large area. You probably just see it on my map behind me. You probably can't make it out with the dark outline there. So in addition to that, I help residents with various issues, put them in touch with the right people in the council, and just try not to get in the way and not to be too much of a nuisance, really.
Okay. From obviously we're living in strange times at the moment, and we are all trying to deal with it in the best way we can from a business perspective. Can you share with us some of the things that you've been doing and the council have been doing to support businesses over the last sort of 3 to 4 weeks?
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Joe. Our main focus over the last couple of weeks has been the business support grants. So central government have put an awful lot of money into this. Our allocation in West Berkshire has been £29 million. Now that's to be spread across 1,900 businesses. Now, it's not a pro rata allocation. Basically, the government scheme, the terms of the scheme are that businesses subject to criteria can get a grant. So it's not a loan. I think that's important to point out, Joe. I think maybe some businesses have been put off applying because they think they're going to have to pay it back. There are some loan schemes out there, but this scheme that I'm talking about now, the business support grants, it's either £10,000 or £25,000. That's depending on your rateable value. So it's for companies that are in the retail, hospitality and leisure industries. Now, I would say to business owners who are watching this, check the government website, check the West Berkshire website, because that is a very wide definition. You might not think you're in the retail, hospitality or leisure sectors, but it covers an awful lot of things. I was talking to a car dealer the other day. Absolutely, that's in the sector. Car hire, that sort of thing. So do check it. A lot of businesses are covered. So if you're in that sector and you not necessarily pay business rates, because you might get full relief, you might not pay any business rates at all, but you still qualify for this scheme. It's depending on the rateable value of your property. So the higher the rateable value, the higher the grant. Basically, I think if your rateable value is higher than 51,000, then you don't qualify. Between 15 and 51, 15 and 51, you get the 25,000, and if it's less than 15,000 rateable value, you get the 10,000 grant. There's also grants for all businesses who claim small business rates relief and rural rate relief. Now that's not dependent on sector. I know I'm confusing you already. So it doesn't matter what sector you're in. If you get those reliefs, you're going to get a cash grant of 10,000. And then there's a specific grant available for those in the retail, hospitality and leisure sectors, as I said. Now, what we've been doing is contacting those businesses. I mentioned there's 1,900 businesses that we've identified as qualifying for this grant. To date, about 1,100 have got back to us. Right? That means there's about 800 businesses that either don't want the money, which I can't imagine is the case. You never know, or they've decided they don't need it. You know, if that's the case, then fine. But I think this is a good opportunity, Joe, to say to businesses, look, if we've tried to contact businesses by email and by letter. We've done it both ways. If you think you might qualify, get in touch. Just get in touch. We've got 800 businesses that we've got money sitting, ready and waiting to put into their bank account.
Wow.
Yeah.
We need to get that message out to businesses.
Exactly right. So that's been the focus, because administratively, as you can imagine, that's been a really big task.
Sure.
We've reassigned staff from other areas of the council towards this.
Yeah.
And basically we're in the position now where every business that's responded to us, we've asked them to fill in a little form. Every business that sent that form back, they've all been paid, right?
Yeah.
And if you do get in touch with us applying for the grant and you do qualify, you'll be paid within a matter of days.
Wow.
So it could be the difference between sort of life and death for some businesses, Joe. It's quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
A grant, not a loan, doesn't need to be repaid.
Okay. That's fantastic, and we'll share the link to obviously the council
Brilliant.
website so everybody can access that. You mentioned just a minute ago about sort of different departments within the council are sort of doing different things, and I think that's a big thing for business at the moment, trying to sort of multi-skill, multitask. If one area of the business isn't doing as well, bring them across to different areas of the business. Can you tell us a bit about that in terms of the day-to-day activity that's been going on? It's quite interesting.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of employees. Our main office is at Market Street in Newbury, and I guess like all businesses, we've had employees go off sick with coronavirus. We've employees been self-isolating because they're exhibiting symptoms. So our workforce has taken, it's taken a big hit, and it's shown how flexible it can be. The vast majority of our council employees are now working from home, so they're going to be set up, much like we're talking to each other from our homes, be set up remotely. So the IT guys at the council have had a hell of a job to put that support together, and they've done a great job, really. But I think what the council employees have shown is just how talented and how flexible and how willing they are to muck in. So the area that I've got responsibility for in finance, lots of different teams there. So we've got people looking after council tax, we've got people looking after business rates, we've got financial accountants, management accountants, and so on. Various parts of those businesses have gone off sick, or they've been self-isolating. So it's been like a rapid reaction force. The guys in charge, Joseph Holmes is the executive director that I work with. He's been, those old war films that you get in the Battle of Britain, and you got Bomber Command just shoving the little planes around the table. He's been doing that really. So I'll put those guys there, put those guys there. And the business rates team, there's only about 4 or 5 people in there usually, but they've had another 6, 7, 8 people, so more than doubling their capacity over the last couple of weeks, because we recognise really. I mean, Lynn Docherty, the council leader, she set some key priorities at the start of this crisis. Care homes, adult social care, look after those guys. Get the community hub set up, which is dealing with vulnerable residents, making sure that they are not struggling too badly with the self-isolation and so on. And third was support for businesses. Not third in order, but those 3 priorities were together, really. So getting money in the hands of businesses is the best thing we could do really at this point. There's other things going on as well in terms of support for businesses, through the Growth Hub, providing advice for them. But as a sort of short-term cash injection, that was priority number 1. So I've been really impressed with the way the council employees have dealt with it.
Yeah, no, I think there's been some really organisations such as obviously the Chamber and the Business Growth Hub really sort of stepping up to the plate and helping businesses. Do you think it's the type of size of businesses that you're coming across that need this support and this help? Are they just SMEs, or are they bigger companies locally? No,
I mean, there's some large players that are involved. That it depends on the sector, doesn't it? It's not so much size; it's what they do. If you're a food retailer at the moment, you're doing pretty well. In this, and I'm not just talking about supermarkets. There's a couple of independent guys just in my village here that they've switched to a delivery model, and I'm not saying there's no challenges there, Joe. Of course there are, but they'll be doing very well. But if you think about retail in particular, retail, hotels, small B&Bs, those guys are just decimated. So no, it's not just the SMEs. It's much more sector specific rather than size. I'm finding.
Okay. From the council, operates, and you've got employees. In terms of all these employees now working from home, and the support for these people from a wellbeing perspective, and from a comms, can you just maybe talk a little bit about that and the approach that the council have taken, with not just with their own employees, but also the advice they're sort of providing out to businesses alike?
Well, you mean from our own employees' point of view, that's absolutely recognised, and the senior leadership of the council, so the chief executive. He and the leader of the council, and again, those are two different posts. They're sending personal messages to employees every week. That message about wellbeing, looking after yourself, if you're struggling mental health wise, get in touch. There's been really good leadership from Nick and Lynn. He made quite clear at the outset that don't worry if you're asked to work from home, or if we're saying don't come into the office, don't worry about not being paid. There's no question about that whatsoever. And I think that's a message that's important for all businesses to do. And I'm not aware of any businesses that aren't doing it, because most, if not all, business owners recognise that they owe their employees a lot, and if it wasn't for their employees, they'd be in very dire straits. So, Joe, it's a message I would support. It's not a message that I think isn't happening. I've got confidence in our local businesses that they are doing that. I just think over the last few years, there's been much less of a reluctance to talk about mental health. I think it's a good thing. People recognise that it's good to talk, and it's okay not to be okay. And those are cliches, but there's some good sentiment behind it.
Brilliant, thanks, Ross. Is there any other sort of support that businesses should be aware of at the moment that's being distributed?
Yeah, definitely. So in addition to the grants, all businesses that are retail, hospitality, leisure, the central government have announced a business rates holiday. So they won't be paying business rates at all for the next 12 months. We in West Berkshire specifically haven't taken any business rates from customers' bank accounts for April, and that will be the case in May as well. Again, businesses might not be aware of that for May. So just unilaterally, we decided we're not taking cash out of businesses' bank accounts right now when they desperately need it.
Is that in those sectors, or is that across
every single business? Every single business in West Berks will not have paid, if they pay by direct debit, which isn't everybody, it's the vast majority. So if you're on a business rates direct debit, then no money was taken in May, and no money will be taken in, no money was taken in April, and no money will be taken in May either. We will be issuing revised bills to take account of that. Businesses don't need to do anything about it themselves. And I guess it's just worth re-upping the Business Growth Hub, so it's the local enterprise partnership that are in partnership with us on that one. But if I've not covered anything, and if you can't find it on the West Berkshire website, there's loads of advice and support available from the Business Growth Hub, which I'd always encourage businesses to go.
That's fantastic. I think West Berkshire businesses have been stepping up to the plate. We talked earlier. You've got sort of the likes of ITS, International Taste Solutions, who have been creating and making hand sanitizers. You've got West Coast just down the road a little bit in Thiel from where you are, have been massively fundamentally involved in helping the Nightingale Hospital in London to get their networking together. Do you know of any other businesses locally that have been supporting?
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, the West Berkshire business community, I mean, it's no surprise to me, how many of them stepped up to the plate, and, they just recognise that, the sense of community around here is somebody who's not from here, you can tell from the accent. It's lovely to live around here. Just to pick one company, people might have seen it in the news, but it's Hawk Ridge Distillers. They're based up in Compton, and they switched production from making gin, which again is a fine product in my opinion, to a alcohol-based hand sanitizer, which they were then providing for free to NHS trusts and anyone else who needed it. I mean, that's one example out of, I'm sure, dozens, if not hundreds, of businesses doing that. It's great to see.
No, that's fantastic. So is there sort of any advice? You've given lots of advice, by the way, Ross. I appreciate it, for businesses to get access to these, grant funding schemes that the government have provided. Is there any sort of other advice that you might sort of want to share with business owners, directors that are managing like in a really tough time at the moment? Yeah,
I mean, it is a tough time. Important bit of advice number one: if you're struggling, talk to us. Okay, if you're struggling to pay business rates, if you're struggling to pay taxes, get in touch with us and we'll see what we can do. Can't make any promises, but at the moment we're really bending over backwards to try and help businesses get through this. It's better for all of us. It's better for our local economy if businesses survive and then recover rather than have to go to the wall. Central government support's available. I'm sure we're well aware of it, but just to re-emphasise the message, it is possible to furlough employees. The government's going to cover 80% of wages if that's necessary. It's great to see so many businesses manage not to do that, but it's there if they need it. Get in touch with us, get in touch with the Growth Hub. There should be advice and support available for you if you need it. Fantastic. Well, Ross, I've taken up a lot of your time this morning, so I really appreciate it. I'm sure the business community does as well, and keep up all the good work that you've been doing since obviously you've been elected, and from a personal perspective, keep safe. Yeah, thanks a lot, Joe. Same to you.
Cheers.